Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. Today we are doing the NFL Coaching Carousel. This was the best one that I could find. I'm using the NFL's website for this one. There have been 9 coaching changes, not nearly as many as college football. That was a marathon. My gosh, I didn't realize there was that many head coaching changes, and I think there was even another one with Hawaii, but I didn't even go over that one, and I don't feel like going over that one. But the NFL's had its own interesting coaching carousels. They had a lot of guys moving around, and so we start with the top one, which is the New Orleans Saints and their new head coach being Dennis Allen. Sean Payton announced that he would be stepping away. I think he said that he would be retiring. And so the Saints defensive coordinator was promoted to be the new head coach in New Orleans. Obviously, this is a Saints team that's looking to compete in what is honestly a pretty weak South Division, not named the Bucks. I mean, obviously you got Tampa with Tom Brady. I mean, they came. Tom Brady joined the Bucks, and then the Bucks immediately just became good. The Bucks are having their own new head coach, as which I don't think that's actually on this list. Um, but Bruce Arians also decided to step down, and the defensive coordinator, of which his name escapes me, he's a former New York Jet coach, but he is stepping in and becoming the head coach for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't think that's actually on this list. I forgot about that, but that's another head coaching change. I really for the life of me can't remember his name. Obviously, the offensive coordinator is Byron Leftwich, but he's still the coach. God, what is his name? I don't know. I'll have to look it up later. Maybe I can look it up as we're doing this video. But Dennis Allen, the new head coach for the New Orleans Saints, they're obviously looking to compete with the Bucks. Maybe get into the NFL playoffs this year. They just barely missed last year. It's going to be dependent on Alvin Kamara. And, of course, they also have a brand new receiving core. I do have hope for the Saints. I think with a brand new receiving core, they could be a lot better. But we'll see how Dennis Allen does. But no Sean Payton. He has officially retired. So new head coach in town. We'll see how that goes. The New York Giants, they made their new head coaching change and also got a new general manager. They fired both their GM. Well, no, their GM just simply retired. Dave Gentleman retired, I'm pretty sure, but they fired Joe Judge. Joe Judge was long gone. But now they have Joe Shonen and Brian Dabble, both former Buffalo Bills staff members. That's the word I was looking for. Both Buffalo Bills staff members. Brian Dabble, the new head coach. Joe Schoen. I don't know how it's pronounced. He is the new GM for the New York Giants. Anything that is better than stinking Joe Judge is a good thing for the Giants. But yes, Brian Dabble was the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So obviously, he has been the he's been the one coaching up Josh Allen, and we've seen what Josh Allen has done. I don't think he'll be doing that kind of same thing with Daniel Jones, but if he ends up getting any kind of a good quarterback on his hands, look out. But this is definitely a good thing for the Giants. Very interested to see how that goes for them. The Chicago Bears had the same thing as the Giants, except their GM didn't retire. Their GM got fired as well. Ryan Pace, I believe, was the GM for the Bears. But Ryan Pace and their head coach, Matt Nagy, both got fired. Matt Eberflus, the Indianapolis Colt defensive coordinator, was hired. and forget who the GM was, but he was from Kansas City. He was made the new GM for the Chicago Bears. Matt Eberflus was pretty good with the Colts defense last year. We'll see how it goes, but we know the Bears are a defensive team anyways. They never had an offense, but his how he handles the development of Justin Fields is gonna be key. We'll see how that goes, but Justin Fields is going to have to be a priority for this team. They need Fields to be what he was advertised to be. Ryan Poles, there it is. Was reading it now. Ryan Poles was brought in from the Kansas City Chiefs as the new GM. I don't remember what he was with Kansas City, but he's new GM for KC or for Chicago. I still can't talk. But Justin Fields is going to be a priority for the GM and the head coach here. We'll see how it goes again. But interesting move for the Bears. Definitely they have a lot of work to do. Denver Broncos got themselves a new head coach in Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. They're also kind of hoping that Nathaniel Hackett would bring Aaron Rodgers to Denver, end up getting Russell Wilson instead, so I don't think they're complaining. But Aaron Rodgers, he obviously just re-signed with Denver, Aaron Rodgers doesn't end up re-signing with Green Bay, but they end up getting a trade for Russell Wilson, so I'm thinking they're pretty stinking excited. But this is a good. This what you obviously working with Aaron Rodgers is not easy to do. But he was the offensive coordinator of that Green Bay Packer offense, and we'll see what he looks like as the head coach. I think that whole hiring was just to bring Aaron Rodgers to Green Bay, but it failed. But now they have Russell Wilson, so. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Miami Dolphins are trying trying for the San Francisco 49er pool of just absolute craziness as they go and get Mike McDaniel. Of course, the Miami Dolphins, they got they had a head coach opening after Brian Flores was shockingly fired. And obviously, after getting fired, Brian Flores sued the NFL for essentially racial injustice, saying that the GM for Miami told him to tank, and that other organizations basically didn't interview him correctly or fairly. Again, this is a podcast, so I do not address stuff like that. I'm not going to. If you want to ask me, on a personal note later, go ahead. But I don't make comments on that on here. Because this is sports. This is a podcast. I don't address that stuff on here. But Mike McDaniel, the new head coach for the Miami Dolphins. And, of course, he was the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And, he was the run game coordinator and then was the offensive coordinator last year. Because I believe whoever the Niner offensive coordinator was the year before that ended up leaving. But Mike McDaniel, this is a very young head coach. This will be a very young head coach. And he worked under the very creative Kyle Shanahan. He himself is a very creative kind of guy. So we'll see how he works out with Miami, but we've seen Miami go out and get big-time players, and they've got big-time players now on their team. So they're definitely looking to win. Their division's not easy, though, because they have to deal with Bill Belichick in New England, who never goes away. and then Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see how Miami fits in with that crew. But definitely an exciting hire. I like it. I love when you can get guys who are creative. Like he kind of basically it's like he's like Lincoln Riley from USC, now at USC, but Lincoln Riley, very creative guy. Mike McDaniel, more the same thing. You get a guy like that who's young, who's got potential, and is very creative like that, can just come up with stuff on the spot. You know, I really like those kinds of hirings. Then this one was very disappointing. Everyone wanted the Las Vegas Raiders to go and get Rich Bisaccia after he led the Raiders, who went through all kinds of crud last year, to the playoffs. And he just fell short to the eventual AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals, which that game was really all over the place in refereeing. But the Raiders, everyone thought, oh, it's going to be Bisaccia. He just led the Raiders all the way to the playoffs like that. Great job by Bisaccia. Awesome year for him. And then they hired Josh McDaniels. Which, let's just let's just go over what Josh McDaniels has done. Of course, he was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots for a while, which he succeeded there for a while. But he had already a head coaching experience with Denver. It miserably failed. It was terrible. And then he went to the New England Patriots, became their offensive coordinator for a very long time. The Indianapolis Colts tried hiring him, went to hire him. They did hire him. And right before his introductory conference, he backs out and says, I don't want to be the head coach anymore, and leaves the Colts in the ditch. So I hate this hiring for the Raiders. I thought it should have been Bisaccia. I mean, McDaniels, he was good with the Patriots, but this is a huge mistake by the Raiders. This didn't go well for because you look at his last head coaching experience went so well, he's gonna do better this time. No. This is not a good hiring. I don't like it whatsoever. It should have been Bisaccia. They went with McDaniels. This is a huge mistake by the Raiders. I hate it. It won't. I don't. It might go well for them. But I don't like this hiring by the Raiders. Very disappointing. Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, I would just give them an A for getting rid of Urban Meyer. I don't even care who they get, which they did get a good head coach. They got Doug Peterson. But just getting rid of Urban Meyer, period, is a win. You guys know what Urban Meyer did to that program. That was the worst. Like we just talked about Josh McDaniels and Raiders being a bad head coach hiring. Yeah, Urban Meyer is 10 times worse than that, maybe more. This guy, he was good in college, okay? He was good with Ohio State, did a lot of shady stuff at Ohio State. I also can't stand the guy, but I'm a Michigan fan, so take that as you will. But he did shady stuff at Ohio State anyway. Very shady stuff. Had health issues. He was an analyst for a couple years. Then the Jaguars hire him, and it was a complete disaster. I think really the team was as bad as it was because he just was not a good coach. I mean, we had all the stuff that came out later about him kicking his own kicker and telling him to make his kicks and all that stuff. And the issue of where he's in Cincinnati or in Columbus with someone who's not his wife. I mean, just all kinds of awful stuff with Urban Meyer. Just a complete train wreck of a hiring, and it was obvious. I mean, everyone knew this is a terrible hiring. What are they doing? But now this year, they actually go and get themselves a good head coach. Now, he has been out coaching for a year, but this is a guy who got the Eagles their first ever Super Bowl. And he didn't even do it with Carson Wentz, who was an MVP candidate. They did it with Nick Foles, who was a backup. So I think this is going to be a good hiring for the Jaguars. I mean, anything's better than Urban Meyer. But it's going to depend on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, former number one pick, big-time quarterback, obviously. We'll see how it goes with him. They spent a crap ton of money to go and get the Arizona Cardinals receiver, whose name escapes me. If Jacob Srebensky was on here, he would tell you his name, but he was a slot guy for I want to say Chris something, but I don't know. I really can't remember. But they spent a bunch of money on him, so he's now a big time receiver in Jacksonville with Marvin Jones and everyone else. So we'll see how it goes with Jacksonville. But I don't like their number one overall pick. They took Trayvon Walker. If you would have taken Kayvon Thibodeau, that's one thing. But you didn't take Thibodeau. You took Trayvon Walker. You didn't even take Aiden Hutchinson. You took Trayvon Walker. And I don't really think that's the greatest pick. I don't like it at all. But again, we'll see how Jacksonville looks with Doug Peterson as new head coach. He has won a Super Bowl. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the Houston Texans also had their own head coaching search after they made a really interesting hiring of David Culley last year. Now they make another interesting hiring with Lovie Smith. Now, let's be real. I mean, he is a good head coach. Okay, he was a really good head coach for the Chicago Bears, led them to a Super Bowl. He took the Bears to a Super Bowl. He was decent for the Bucs. He ended up eventually falling off a cliff. But since his days at Chicago, he has not been nearly the same coach that he's been. Because we saw him with the Bucs, and he progressively got worse to the point where Tampa was terrible. Then he ended up getting a head coaching job at Illinois, and dear Lord, was that a disaster. And so now he's heading to Houston, which is its own gigantic mess. Now he did trade away. He did end up trading away a disaster of a player in Deshaun Watson. He got rid of him. Great job. You got a crap ton of picks for him too, so very impressive. But this is a very interesting hiring because I think this is partially because of that Brian Flores. To be honest, not that I'm saying that. I mean, you can hire whoever you want to hire, but I think there was probably better candidates out there than Lovie Smith by 100%. This hiring was made because of the Brian Flores lawsuit. Now, it could have been that Houston just simply thought that Lovie Smith was their best candidate, which would be in typical Houston fashion, because there's a lot better candidates than him, but in my opinion. But I think this is because of the Brian Flores lawsuit. So I very much think that this was Houston panicking and thinking, well, let's hire a minority coach so we don't get crucified. And so they won't get crucified by that, but they'll get crucified because it's not maybe the greatest hiring. But maybe Lovie Smith can regain his Chicago Bears form. Who knows? I'm not a fan of it, but at least they did get somebody. It's better than David Culley. Yeah, I was not a fan of him. Now, this says expected hiring right now, but this already has been a hiring. Kevin O'Connell, the former offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl winning LA Rams, heads to the Minnesota Vikings and will also be with a new head coach. New GM, who is Kwesi Mensah, I think. Don't know how you pronounce his name, but he's from San Francisco. He is a longtime San Francisco guy. Yeah, he was with the Browns last year, I believe, and now he's the new GM in Minnesota. Now, he made some interesting trades, so I don't know if he's off to the greatest start, because he made a trade with the Lions, of which he dropped 20 spots, got 3 picks out of it, but He gave up 12 and 46 to go get 32, 34, and 66. These are the overall picks, of course. So he got the last pick in the first round, the second pick of the second round, the second pick of the third round. And you gave the Lions the number 12 pick in the first round, and I believe the number 14 pick in the second round. You know, it did screw over the Green Bay Packers because Green Bay couldn't get Jameson Williams because we ended up doing it. Very aggressive trade. I'm very curious how that will work for the Lions. But then the Vikings were weird again and traded with the Packers. So they traded with two division rivals. And later, the really crazy one was when they traded with Green Bay. They got two second rounders, and they traded down 19 spots. They got 53 and 59 for 34. Or 53 and 59 for 34. And that was it. And so the Packers took Christian Watson, the wide receiver. So I don't know how necessarily his reputation in Minnesota is so far, but I can't imagine it being all that good. But Kevin O'Connell, he was good as the offensive coordinator for the Rams. He's a younger guy. We'll see how he does, but definitely how that offense for the Vikings goes is going to be very important. And so that is it for today's video. So I'm actually gonna look up who the new Bucs coach is, because I really can't remember for whatever reason. When I see his name, I know it was their former defensive coordinator. Okay, well that's not. Is that really their new head coach? Todd Bowles. That's the new head coach. There we go. That's the name I was forgetting. So, you heard about me earlier. Bruce Arians, he stepped down. He went into a front office position. And so now the new head coach in Tampa Bay is Todd Bowles. But all these hirings overall, I think the best one out of all of these, probably, I would say, it's hard to say it. I mean, I would say maybe Dennis Allen, Matt Eberflus. I think the Jaguars by default are probably the best though. You got rid. There's no Urban Meyer. That automatically makes it an improvement. But that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys next week. I'll have, of course, the MLB review, likely because I'm going to be on vacation. I'm planning on going on vacation. So I'll be gone for the whole first week of June. I'll be gone. And so there won't be any videos during that week. I don't know what I'll do beforehand, but I'll probably have stuff on the NBA by next week as well. So I'll just be waiting on the NBA finals to end, and we'll go from there. But that's all I got for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So until next time, adios, everyone.